Hello, welcome to Traditional Chinese Medicine. My name is Christina Kapothanasis. I'm a traditional Chinese medicine doctor and acupuncturist in the state of Hawaii. I am also a graduate of the Shanghai University of Traditional Chinese Medicine in Shanghai, China, where I conducted all my studies and residency in Mandarin Chinese. My mission is to help people integrate Chinese medicine into their daily lives to promote health and well-being. So if you feel that anybody would benefit from these videos, please do share. I have been working on a course for several months to include all of my tips and recommendations that I have given to my patients over the past 10 years, all in one nice and tidy package. So please revisit the description box below or my website for updates on that and hopefully other future courses I can provide. Today's talk is going to be about narcolepsy. I am definitely not an expert in this field, as I have not treated narcoleptic patients in my clinic until recently. This is more of my experience with my own diagnosis of narcolepsy recently and what I have done with the tools in my toolbox to manage my symptoms. And I'd like to share my initial treatment plan with you. So that is the goal for today. Narcolepsy is quite rare. 1 in 2,000 people have it, but they think that it is underdiagnosed, and I can definitely see why, as I'm 40 years old and I never had an inkling that I had narcolepsy. A quite distressing thing about narcolepsy is there's no explanation for why people get narcolepsy. It is not necessarily a genetic disease that's passed on. It usually starts in your teens, and there is no cure for narcolepsy. It's more of a managing your symptoms. The Western treatment for narcolepsy is, to me, of course, quite scary. There are amphetamines to keep you awake during the day and sleep drugs to put you to sleep at night. If I had any luck, I'm sure that I would have a heart attack on one of those two drugs. So, of course, that wasn't in my realm of what I considered for treatments. The symptoms that people experience can range widely. Some people can be sitting at their desk working and fall fast asleep without realizing it. I, of course, am not on the severe side of the scale. I'm on the more light side of the scale. But they definitely have a tendency to fall asleep in the day. You can think of maybe some movie that you've seen with narcolepsy while they're eating and they fall asleep in their soup. Thank goodness I don't fall asleep while I do acupuncture on my poor patients. The reason they're so sleepy in the day is because they are almost always in a state of alpha waves, is my understanding. When you sleep at night, you need to go into deep sleep where you get delta and theta waves, which are the slowest, most regenerative waves. And then after 90 minutes, which is a sleep cycle, you come up into REM, rapid eye movement, which is dreaming, alpha waves, and a lighter, relatively less deep sleep. Then you go into another 90-minute sleep cycle, and then you come up into a longer stint of REM. And hopefully you're not awake yet on your day, but if we can get a full 6 to 8 hours with each sleep cycle, you get more and more REM. So these people with narcolepsy, like myself and others, I'm understanding that we have way too much REM at night. And because we're always in shallow sleep, we don't get the benefits of that restorative deep sleep. Then during the day, of course, if we didn't sleep well, or if we didn't sleep deeply all night, we're quite tired or brain foggy easily, and it's much easier for us to fall asleep because also when I open my eyes, I am still in alpha waves. So most people open their eyes and their alpha waves decrease, and then the brain fog goes away and you're awake in the day. But whether I'm sleeping or I'm awake, my understanding is I'm always in alpha. Wake or sleep, alpha all day, all night. The diagnosis for this condition is the tendency to fall asleep, which I'll share with you in a minute how I came to this diagnosis. But yes, I do have a tendency to fall asleep during the day. Definitely not during activities, but only when I'm still or bored. And you have to do these afternoon sleep tests, and 3 out of 5 20-minute naps, you need to fall asleep and dream in those. Because for a normal person, you have to go through the 90 minutes of deep sleep before you get to the dream state. And yes, that's no problem for me. I can dream in 10 minutes. So those are the 2 things you need to have for the diagnosis. There's also other things that people with narcolepsy experience from my readings and talking to my friend who is a sleep lab expert. She said people can also have the cataplexy when you experience a strong emotion, like laughter or sadness, that you can sort of, your knees can buckle, your muscles can go weak, which I don't experience. And then there's sleep paralysis, which I have experienced a couple times in my life. Thank goodness not on a regular basis. It's quite traumatizing. You are just about to wake up, or sometimes I read that it can be just when you go to sleep. You are awake, but your body can't move. It's paralyzed. And further readings, I found out that when you're in a regular REM state, to keep you from acting out your dreams, if you're running or dancing or whatever you're doing and you don't want to be kicking your partner in bed, the body's defense mechanism is to paralyze the body. So you can still dream and be super active in your dreams, but you will not act them out. So that transition from sleep to wake, it's something about this is why you feel the sleep paralysis, that your body still thinks that you're dreaming and wants to keep you still, but your mind actually wakes up before. And yes, that's scary, and I am sad for people who experience that on a regular basis. So I just said I'd go through the little train of how I came to my diagnosis. I had my daughter Emma 2.5 years ago, and then all of my priorities changed. Everything was about Emma, of course. I'm sure all the parents out there understand. And I just wanted to connect with her as much as I possibly could. I had never felt such fatigue before Emma, and I kept chalking it up to the breastfeeding and the disturbed sleep at night, waking up to nurse. But the fatigue was quite extreme, and the thing that worried me most was when I wanted to sit down on the floor and play blocks with her, or another game that was not too engaging for poor mommy, I would literally just wilt and couldn't keep my eyes open and fall asleep. Christina never sits still and plays blocks. Christina is always thinking, always moving, always doing, always creating. Even if I'm brushing my teeth or cooking, I'm always thinking. So I was on a mission to be able to play blocks with my daughter and not fall asleep. I didn't quite know what I had. I looked up everything about chronic fatigue. I thought maybe I have depression or anxiety. And so I first started off with a machine called AlphaStim, which is supposed to create a sense of calm and energy throughout the day. I started to do well on that machine, which affects your brain waves, and then I went to a different program that promised the effects of the AlphaStim in a permanent way through neurofeedback. So I hooked myself up to mini wires, and I did full-on EEGs, the brain scans, and I worked with a trainer at this company, and I tried different protocol to calm me down so I didn't think so much. And my reaction to that neurofeedback was the opposite. So it's supposed to make me sleep better at night, but I ended up not being able to fall asleep, waking up, putting back to sleep, or I'd wake up every hour. And I never felt the calm in the day. So when we sat down to try to analyze my EEG readings, I said, I want to know why I'm not having the correct reaction to this, because she said none of her patients over the past 10 or 20 years, maybe 10 years, 20 years, have had this reaction. And I said, let's look at the brain scans together and figure out what's going on. So she said, you do the scan with several different patterns of electrodes here, here, there, and thither, and the one that measured my prefrontal cortex, which is the thinking and the rationalizing part, you do with your eyes closed, with your eyes open, and while you're doing a task. So when my eyes were closed, I had lots of alpha. When your eyes open, your alpha is supposed to go down. But mine did not go down. It stayed nice and healthy, high levels of alpha. And the back of my head and my temporals had almost no alpha, which translated into extremely sensitive, whereas everybody knows how hypersensitive I am to foods, chemicals, drugs, even emotions. I pick up on everything. I'm extremely sensitive. And it also correlated with some level of anxiety, which, yes, I never want to sit down and I never want to do anything enjoyable. I just always want to work. She said that I had lots of contradictions in my EEG, and she couldn't quite figure out what was going, so she tried another calming, a stronger calming one, which I couldn't handle even one treatment of. So I went back to the drawing board, and I made an appointment to talk to my friend who's an MD, and the other friend who I told you is a sleep study queen. She knows everything under the sun. And after talking to both of them, my MD friend pointed to my sleep, and my sleep study friend, who's a very close friend, we talked about everything I had gone through and why the one machine helped me and the other neurofeedback program didn't help me, and the symptoms and the different brainwaves. And she said, Christina, I think you may have narcolepsy. And I laughed, because I have been joking with people for eternity. I try to play blocks on the floor with Emma, and it's like I have narcolepsy. I just fall asleep. I couldn't keep my eyes open if I want to. Emma's prying my eyes open to say, read book, Mama, read book. And I just fall asleep for 15 minutes, which I've read online that narcoleptics do well if they inject a few 15-minute naps into their day. It recharges them for 1 to 3 hours, which I thought was interesting. So I was talking about her with it, and she said, well, you'd have to do a sleep study in the day, because you might pass the night sleep study. But it's the afternoon naps that you need to take. Those 3 out of 5 naps for 20 minutes that you have to dream. And I just said, Sonia, I don't need to do that. I just did that with Emma yesterday. I lie down with her for her 1.5 hour nap. The first 10 minutes, I woke up to turn off the air because I was cold. I already dreamt an entire movie. The second time, I looked at the phone. 20 minutes later, my husband came home, closed the front door, woke me up. I already dreamt another entire movie. And then the third one, I slept for another hour, and I dreamt and I dreamt and I dreamt. So after we put those two critical symptoms together for my diagnosis, I was reeling for a couple weeks, because I was going through every emotion you can possibly imagine. Scared. I felt mad that I wasn't diagnosed earlier and I wasted so much time not connecting with my baby. I knew now this is what explained my inability or not wanting to, dreading having fun and doing relaxing things with people, because anything relaxing is going to just put me to sleep, because if I'm not engaged, then I will find that too boring and I will fall asleep. Sonia, my friend, said that when you're in alpha waves, your brain is in its creative mode. It's in work mode. That's when the babies, their brain is growing and their brain development is happening. So everything made so much sense as to why I always want to analyze and think and plan and create. So it's great for my patients, but it's not good for my poor little girl, nor is it good for my husband and friends and family. And if he tries to get close to me, I just have a hard time hanging out. So I tried to wrap my head around the idea of this, and for definitely 2 solid weeks, I was having a hard time digesting it. I tried to read as much online as I can, but all websites have a 1-paragraph explanation, which I basically shared with you today. And I didn't find a whole bunch of alternative medicine treatments out there. So I had to sit down and collect myself and make a treatment plan before I went crazy, and I went right back to the alpha stim. I was also very worried that I had passed this on to my daughter, because as a small baby, I remember her not being sleepy like other babies. Other babies, they nurse or they take the bottle and then they look drowsy and they go to sleep. But Emma was just always awake and ready to play, and I nursed her and I nursed her and I nursed her, and the lactation specialist said, just keep nursing her, she must not be full. I nursed like 24 hours a day. She still wouldn't sleep enough. So yes, I was quite worried about that. But now that I have implemented my treatment plan for myself and I'm feeling much better, I had to share that with you, of course, because I do feel better and I need to share. And then hopefully in the future, if Emma does show tendencies for this, I will be able to help her too. I mentioned that my treatment plan included, first of all, I went back to my alpha stim, which was the first machine I started using. And because I started in a much weaker state from having such disturbed sleep because of my opposite reaction to the neurofeedback program, then it definitely took me a while to pull myself out of that ditch. But I just kept doing it every morning, and it's, for me, it's like doing a deep meditation. So I put my alpha stim back on, and I need to do a completely other video on that because I've been using it since maybe the beginning of December off and on, and using it on my patients, and this is the end of February. December, January, February. So maybe about 3 months, but I did take a break in the middle to try that other machine. I need to do a separate video on that to show you my research, all my trials, and how to make sure that it works for you, because when I did my research on it at the beginning online, reviews show that some people get good effects and some people don't, but through my own experience and my patients, I'm fine-tuning how to make sure that everybody gets the best results and positive results with that. But that's too much for this video, so I put that in another video. And you can go research that if you'd like to, and then it also needs a prescription for that one. So I did that in the mornings to recharge my adrenals, basically. And then I take sleep herbs and calcium magnesium at night. I use muscle testing, so there are many sleep herbs, and that might not be the same for you. So again, as you always hear me say, please visit your local traditional Chinese medicine doctor or acupuncturist who can prescribe herbs to find the best formula for you. But I'm currently taking zhigancao, which is honeyed licorice, and longu, which is a bone of a big cow-like buffalo, water buffalo animal. I think it's something like that bone. So I take those 2 herbs at night, and I take a calcium and magnesium in the evening. So with the alpha stim in the morning and the herbs and calcium magnesium in the evening, I'm finally starting to feel as normal as I can expect for this small amount of time. Maybe I've only been doing this for 2 to 3 weeks. And my biggest happy point was this last Saturday. I went with my husband and daughter to the arcade game and the playground jungle gym, which, just thinking about it at the beginning, I was like, oh God, oh God, oh God, I can't do this, I can't do this, I can do this, I can do this. So I definitely felt the anxiety going into it because I know that those things aren't stimulating enough for me, but I was so happy the whole time because I was able to still stay relaxed and awake and engage with her, even if she's driving on the little car, or we are riding with chalk on the sidewalk, or running around watching her do the slide at the jungle gym. So I felt grateful, and I needed to share that happiness and some sort of relief that at least I'm able to manage my symptoms for now. And I'm hopeful that Christina's alpha wave full brain will be creative enough to find some kind of cure for this. My only lead now is, especially after doing work with other practitioners for the past couple years, all trying to help myself connect with Emma more, I've been pointed in the direction of clearing past traumas. I tried the NET, where they do muscle testing to clear past traumas, and it pointed to my birth. The umbilical cord was wrapped around my neck during birth, and so she said that's why I'm always in a panic of dying, and I'm always doing everything to make everything better and put everything in order. And so anyway, that's my only lead, if I can try to calm and reset my nervous system by clearing past traumas, which I'll have to do another video on, because hopefully with alpha stim or something else that can get us into a deep meditation where we can access our subconscious, maybe that might be possible. After I was diagnosed, I immediately started polling all my patients, because of course I want to see, am I the only one that can dream in a 20-minute nap, or is this a normal thing? Because I couldn't believe that it wasn't normal. It's been like this since I was a kid. And when I did start polling my patients, if they took less than a 90-minute nap, so 20, 30, 45-minute nap, even hour nap, 90 minutes is the full sleep cycle. So if you're taking shorter than 90-minute naps, you should not be able to dream. So many people were like, nope, I don't dream in naps. Not even a thought. Nope, I don't dream in naps. And I thought, So most people don't dream in their naps, or they cannot fall asleep at all. And one girl did. And I said, oh, and she said she falls asleep at work 1 to 2 times a day for about 15 minutes. And she dreams in 10 to 20-minute naps. And so I had her do the 3-nap trial at home just for the heck of it. And 1 20-minute nap was dreams, and 2 were sleep paralysis. So this poor girl, my new soul sister, we are trying to get her back to health. She actually came for thyroid problems, and I thought, oh, if I didn't eat such a clean diet and take herbs on a regular basis and really focus on a well-organized, systematic lifestyle, I would have probably burned out my adrenals much faster, and then my thyroid would have gone too. So I can see how she got there, and I can really empathize, and so I'm on the lookout for anybody who dreams with a nap, and that's what you should try. If you even think that you have this, you should go do these 20-minute naps and see if you have dreams. Of course, that's not a complete diagnosis. It could be also caused by just pure sleep deprivation. A lot of the military people who were on assignment and didn't sleep for days at a time, of course they're going to fall asleep and dream in a few minutes because they're so sleep deprived. The other thing that I am seeing is I'm trying to find all the people who have this pattern of think, cannot slow down. Because this girl is exactly like me in the not super excited about the relaxing side of life, but definitely want to problem solve all day long. And I have another man who's a big businessman here. He thinks incessantly. He opens businesses, multiple businesses, sometimes in one day. And I had him to a nap, but he didn't quite do 3 in one day. The thing that I'm worried about is the mother, and I only knew this because the son's wife, she sees me, and she told me the mother falls asleep at the arcade while playing with the granddaughter she falls asleep while doing the car driving thing. So I was like, oh, if this is anything genetic, she has the narcolepsy symptom of this, so I haven't talked to her about the dreams yet in the naps. And then the son definitely has that pattern of needs to be creative all day long. And he never sits still. So if you see a pattern of like the workaholic, worrier, thinker, can't relax people, then that might be also just a hint to check for that as well. Because I never really thought my sleep was that bad before. But now that I look back on everything, anything that's slightly boring, I would fall asleep. In college, they put me as a work study in the school museum at Washington University in St. Louis, where unfortunately there are hardly any people. And I was told to sit there and make sure that people don't touch the artwork. Ooh, you put me in a cool, dark, quiet room. Oh, I was begging every day to be reassigned to painting the walls and helping people install their exhibits because I could not handle that one. I just thought museums might be boring, and that was everybody's reaction. So anyway, that is my experience so far with this, but if you have extra experience or explanations for why this happens to help me go on a new lead, or if you have wonderful natural remedies that you know of that you would like to share, that would be great. And until next time, until I have more information to share with you, aloha!